What's going on, guys? Today we are talking about Lilyth EX. She just received her EX and she has received some massive changes. I honestly feel like she's a brand new unit, but we're going to talk about a lot of things. So strap yourselves in because this is going to be kind of a long one. So I'm going to start by giving a little bit of a review. So let me hide my face a little bit for now. Okay, so the first and probably the best thing, I want you to take a look at Lilyth's portrait right now, and you can see I have certain things equipped on her. It's sort of just an example build of what you would kind of use on her. So you see I actually have bells on her. It used to be that Lilyth pretty much needed like 100% was a requirement to use Lilyth and bells, otherwise she couldn't really do much. However, with her first EX upgrade, it's basically turning the most useless ability that ever exists in the game into a built-in bells. This is probably the best AP generation on a unit, not on a TMR, in the game. This changes Lilyth completely. So now she's going to be able to basically have bells built in. So essentially, that completely frees up a TMR slot. And that's why I believe this pretty much completely changes the way you use Lilyth in this game. So she does have another EX skill, which I mean, it's arguably pretty decent. It's the AP break one. I'm not even going to talk about that. I didn't even prepare a slide for it. But her level 25 skill, I think, is also fundamentally changes the way you will use Lilyth. And the reason I say that is because it is essentially just as strong as Hazard Break. If we look at the stats that I took from War of the Visions calc, you can see that when you max out Hazard Break, it's a 225 modifier versus the new ability AP Devastator, which is a 200% modifier. Now, there is that 25% difference, but essentially it's the exact same skill minus that difference. It only costs 1 AP more, and then when you max it, it actually lowers the targets. So this is an AoE target, so it lowers anyone who's in that target by 40 points of AP. Now, 40 points of AP on most units is a lot of AP. This probably won't affect magic users as much, the kind of magic users that start with almost full AP, but it will affect most units by quite a big deal. So the reason I think the AP Devastator is so good is because I think if we look in the middle here, I think the best job for Lilyth used to be Soldier, so you can have access to Hazard Break. But now that you don't really need access to Hazard Break anymore, you have the option to go with whichever job you want. And honestly, her night job is not super great in terms of a sub job. It does give you Speed Break and I think a Disable, but you kind of don't really need that with Lilyth. She does have Trinity Break as her main job skill. Not as good as Speed Break in terms of breaking speed, but still pretty good. So essentially you don't really need Soldier sub-job anymore. You don't need to be locked to that sub-job anymore. And since you don't really need bells anymore, that kind of opens up a Ranger to be used much more efficiently, because now you can have a TMR that can give you range, and that sort of really helps out Lilyth with being a Ranger sub-job. Not only that, she does have access to the Flame Tongue, which as a Ranger, you don't get the missile attack from the sword, but you do get the fire attack. So that makes her a really good candidate for just keeping her as the Ranger sub-job. I think the Ranger sub-job is definitely the best. You should just use that as the default. She has Sharpshoot and she has Barrage. Like, you might want to turn them off, but I think this is still the best sub-job to have. All right, so I think those changes to Lilyth make her like super good. All right, so let's go to the next slide here. And I guess I could bring my face back. Okay, so my face is back. So in theory, like I'm kind of here theory crafting. There's kind of three kind of different builds that you want for Lilyth. Number one is kind of your standard build. I think that's the Brigadine, however you say that, armor there. I think that gives area resistance, but you could throw in whatever armor you want in there and sort of have, you know, slash resistance, you know, whatever kind of resistance you want or need for the time being. I have the bells there just kind of as an example. You don't need the bells anymore. You can pretty much use whatever TMR you want. So that's kind of going to be the standard build. The middle, I kind of have a magic resist spirit build. If we look down at the bottom, Lilyth's biggest weakness is magic. So she has a minus 25 in magic, and later we're going to review her stats. She actually has 0 spirit. So in terms of magic, you don't want to use Lilyth as a magic tank or magic bruiser or whatever. Just don't. There's different options you can use. Just don't use her. But if you're going to ignore my warning there, you do have the option for Knight's Armor. And there's the El Sorel TMR just represents any kind of spirit TMR. I think it gives like 10 spirit. I know that the spirit gets halved, but you're probably going to want as much spirit and magic resistance as you can get if you're going to plan to use her against any kind of magic build. The third type of build that I kind of thought about was sort of more of an evasion build. This is kind of more of just a meme because I don't think this is going to work whatsoever. But since we are able to use Ranger as her sub job now, she does have, I forget what it's called. Let me go back one slide. Vigilance. And what Vigilance does is actually raise her evasion. And so in my mind, like a year ago when I was like trying to come up with something for Lilyth so I could use her, I always had in mind like, oh, what if I could make an evasion Lilyth? Because using that and reflex kind of gives her a decent chance of evading. So I kind of looked at the stuff that she can equip. She cannot equip the Santa Claus, and she cannot equip that new raid armor that's evasive. She can't equip that. So I think in terms of evasion, again, guys, this is completely a meme. You want something that gives speed. So that's the Lucia TMR that actually gives speed, and that actually gives her range too. So might as well throw that on to her. The ribbon is a decent option for evasion, the evasion stat. Since she can't really equip anything else, she can't even equip Sage's hat. So the ribbon is probably your best bet. I don't have a +5 ribbon, so I'm not really going to make the most of this. Again, this is just a meme though, so I'm not even actually planning on using this. And then the bow tie is there for luck. That's going to be your other evasion stat. Again, this is a complete meme. But according to the Ready Player Will's video, the bow tie actually gives you more luck than the evasion and accuracy stats that go down. So I guess this is still an okay build. Again, I don't recommend using that. In terms of her support abilities and her reaction abilities, you pretty much want to use reflex. Sword guard is only for debuff thief resistance, which I don't think is that good anyway, unless they improve it in the future. And in terms of support ability, you might want to change it up based on what you're going to do. She only has one attack one, which is self-sacrifice. So if I'm using a standard build, I'll mix that up with the HP up one. If you're using sort of more of a ranger build, you might want to go for focus. I think that's the missile attack one, or ranger lure is the one that gives you more range. So you can sort of just mix those things up and sort of come up with what you want. If you're using the evade build, I guess HP up and divine protection, but again, it's a meme, don't use it. All right, so next slide here is I just kind of thought of a few potential TMRs to use with her. I'm sure there's a ton of other options, but at the end of the day, I think these are sort of some of the ones that I kind of went for. So some of the ones that I have, and I kind of just tried them out. So First one is actually Katone's TMR that gives her move and jump +1, something she could find useful. I find that she actually runs too far ahead with that, so I kind of don't want her to use that. The King Mont's TMR is good because it gives her like defense and spirit, and you can sort of use it to kind of make her try to buff her teammates. I haven't gotten it to work like that because she doesn't have a lot of moves, so she doesn't really move to her teammates that much. Lilyth's Summer Lilyth sunglasses, I believe, gives 2 more range for 1 turn, so that would be good if you're doing a ranger build. And then Oldoa's TMR, I know she has AP generation, but if you're on a bigger map, maybe the AP generation stacks, but this actually gives her defense penetration, so that's actually gonna help her do more damage. And then the other 2 on the right are actually armors, so they're a little more annoying to use because they will replace your actual armor. So, you know, it's kind of a judgment call, but they both give move +1. Kane's helmet gives haste, which, you know, Lilyth, even she did get some good agility improvements, but again, it's not really that great. So the haste would probably help her out a little bit. And Christmas Ramada's TMR gives her attack up and a move +1, so that could be useful. Again, these are not all the good TMRs for her, but these are kind of just suggestions. So that was all the good news. Now for the bad news, I've kind of been finding that Lilyth doesn't really have a good role. So the problem with Lilyth is that her role sort of overlaps with King Mont's role. So she's kind of more of a breaker than an attacker. She's like a bruiser breaker, right? The thing with that is she doesn't tank super well, and she doesn't really do damage super well. So she's kind of in this weird middle role. And I would probably prefer King Mont. And this is in terms of PvP. I would probably prefer King Mont instead of her if I'm gonna have like a bruiser, a fire bruiser, a fire breaker, you know, a light damager, I guess. So let me hide my face again and let's take a look at her stats. So her improvements from level 99 to 120, she does gain a pretty decent amount of HP, and she does gain a pretty decent amount of attack. And she does gain agility. I think those are her more important stats to gain. And I guess some luck, which would help with the meme evasion build. And Dex would help for critical hits too. So that's actually all pretty good. But if we compare her to Seymour, and let's just look at her attack stats, and this is with the buffs. So the thing with Seymour is that he does have, I believe Dreamweaver does give attack, but Viking Lord definitely gives attack, so I think he does have 2 attack buffs. So the thing is that if you're going to use Lilyth as an attacker, Seymour is actually just a better attacker. So in terms of HP, she does have more HP than Seymour, and actually does have more AP than Seymour. So in terms of that, she is better, but I think Seymour also has his own personal vision card, which is actually really good on him. So I think because of that, Seymour is actually just better as an attacker than Lilyth. And if we kind of look at King Mont, he does have 1 attack support skill. So I kind of just threw Destiny of Leonis on there as sort of the other de facto one. So in essence, Lilyth does have more attack than King Mont. So if you do want to use her in sort of the bruiser build, then yeah, she does have more attack than King Mont. But with the buffs and everything. But I just feel like King Mont is just a better option in terms of the role that he's playing on your team. Definitely you can try to use Lilyth as your quote-unquote tank. I wouldn't really recommend it. The problem is that if she was like a UR bruiser, that would be much better. That's fine. But in the meta where it's now a 100 cost is the meta right now, I'm not sure if you want to use like an MR unit as your bruiser. She's tending to survive like one attack at most. I mean, it kind of depends on what she's getting hit by, but she's surviving like one attack at most. And if she gets hit by magic, she's pretty much dead. And so the next thing I wanted to mention was, in terms of VC, she technically has a VC for herself, which is actually pretty decent for herself. It gives magic attack resistance, slash attack up, and defense, which is all very good on her. However, when you compare it to something as good as, it's not even Seymour, it's actually primarily Sir O's card, but the only benefit that Sir O gets is the party ability. Otherwise, they share all the other abilities. So on the Seymour card, you basically have the slash attack up equivalent. You have the magic resistance up pretty much equivalent. It's not party wide, but it's equivalent for the unit. And then Seymour gets all this bonus good stuff, attack up and defense piercing rate up. So that makes him an even better attacker. And that's kind of why I'm saying that if you're going to go for an attacker, you might as well just go for Seymour as your fire attacker. All right, so let me bring my face back. Bam. And let me get rid of this slideshow. And we're going to go back into Arena. And we're going to just try a few matches. So I kind of threw in Seymour here. He's going to be our DPS. Mott's going to be our tank. And Lilyth is just going to be there. I find that she is pretty decent at doing like the chip damage, or like the small amount of damage that it takes to sort of clean up or to kind of just set up a kill. So I think that's actually pretty good in terms of that. So let's just go into Arena and see what we can find. We definitely want to go up against physical teams. That's not, I mean, you know, there's a lot of magic, at least magic units in here. So we're going to really have to hunt for physical teams, basically. Let's not go for that. We might come back to that if we can't find anything good. So this is June, which is the 100 cost, and Cloud, maybe not that one. We already see 3 magic users here, so we're going to completely skip all that. Magic users, here's an ice team, maybe? No, magic user. We have a magic user there. All right, so I kind of don't want to go against this, but since she does have sharpshoot, we're going to go against it. Evasion, not my strong suit. Me personally, you could definitely cater to accuracy, but I am just not, my account is not ready for accuracy or evasion right now. So let's kind of see what happens here. And you know, Lilyth is gonna do decent stuff here. The problem is it's kind of hard to highlight her when it's really gonna be Mott doing the tanking or Seymour doing the damage. On top of that, this map is terrible. Just because all 3 units are gonna separate. Maybe Lilyth might go to the right here. I think she's gonna go to the right. But one unit is always gonna be separate. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna basically target down Mott. And I mean, he's gonna do his job of taking hits, but the other 2 units just aren't gonna be in position. And there we have at least a ranged attack, which is, you know, decent. But if it's gonna be targeted at June, not super impactful, I guess. So this is actually a pretty decent chance for Lilyth to do something. And of course we get perfect evaded, but that was a barrage. And if Seymour would have survived that, maybe he would have cleaned someone else up. But there you can see Lilyth actually did survive 1 attack. So her job as bruiser is being done pretty well. And this is something I've seen happen where she kind of, in this map, again, this map is kind of terrible. I've seen this happen where it's like the other team is sort of regenerating their AP, so that kind of gives Lilyth a little bit more of a chance. But she wasn't really able to capitalize. in part because of her speed. She's not the fastest. So, okay. So let's try another one with the same idea. If we can find an ice team, I have no problem going against an ice team for this one, just to kind of give Lilyth a chance to do something. Again, guys, I'm kind of giving her a little bit of a bad rap. Mostly, I think it's due to her role. She is a good unit. She's going to be great for PvE. In terms of raids, I think she was already good for raids. And she's going to be even better for raids. But like this map just doesn't help at all. If Arena allowed us to sort of position our units the way Duel or Class Match does, then that would help. That would be much more helpful. If we had manual control, maybe a little bit more helpful, but probably not so much, considering manual control would mean that it's a class match, and class match, you probably just don't want to be using like 2 MR units. You're going to use 2 URs, and at that point, the other 2 are carrying the team. So Lilyth did get some good damage in. She did manage to kill, was that Victoria? She did manage to kill Victoria. She managed to finish her off. So that was cool, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to go up against at least one ice team to kind of just give her a chance to do something. But we're going to keep going against, if we can find other physical teams. Again, that's evasion. So we might have to come back to that. Evasion. Dwayne. Let's go for that first team. Probably not going to do super well, but let's go for it. Okay, so let's start that one. And let's see if we can get her to do something. So yeah, this is not the best build because of the map. I ideally would want her to go behind, like go to the left, follow King Mont, stay right behind him, let him take the damage while you are actually in proximity to other units so you can do your attacks. One thing I will note, however, is if you do keep your ranged attacks on, that's going to prevent her from moving up. So that's going to essentially lock her into only using her ranged attacks. So you might want her to get in there and use that AP Devastator. So actually that was a really good ranged attack. We're kind of in a bad position here. Okay, no, okay. I thought that was going to be like a dragon dive or something. But I guess since King Mont is down there at the bottom, and that's going to sort of help against range height attacks. So far, Lilyth has done some pretty decent work here. I kind of doubt she's going to be able to clean this up. Oh, but there you go, an AP Devastator, which actually did a good amount of damage. She actually took an attack against Noctis here, and he didn't. Like I said, there goes that turn of AP regeneration that they kind of end up having to take. But she doesn't really end up doing a lot of damage. She did okay, guys. You know, I kind of think that's the thing with Lilyth, is that she's kind of just like a middle of the ground type of unit. She can kind of do okay. So what I'm going to do now, since we kind of just did, 3 matches, I'm going to just change her a little bit and just disable the, let's go into party formation. I'm going to disable the range attacks. Heck, I might just even put her into night so that way she will not use ranged attacks. And sort of, let's just see how that changes her. Maybe, no, I thought that would be an ice team again. You know what, since we kind of did okay against this exact same team, let's see how we do now that we disabled the ranged attacks. All right, so let's go into here. And let's see, first of all, let's see if she sticks with King Mont here. I would think that the left way would be the default way of going, and that whoever's in the 3rd slot is just going to go their own way. In the last match, however, Seymour did kind of veer off to the left a little bit. So maybe here also it kind of depends on hate, who, like which way Lilyth might end up going. So like it might be worth paying attention to if the first slot is the tank slot on the enemy team. So there you go. She actually got in and did the AP Devastator. Zazan actually just has like bells or whatever, so he's got a ton of AP. So it kind of didn't end up really mattering that much. Maybe if we could hit Oberon with it, it might be more impactful. There she actually went for that limiter off, so maybe if I disabled her ranged attacks, then maybe I should have probably changed her TMR. There you go, she's actually surviving, you know, at least one attack and that kind of weird little double attack that Noctis does. So she's at least doing that. So kind of there you go on that. All right, so let's change her TMR. Let's see if we could give her Kane's TMR and change her armor to whatever other accessory. All right, so actually she has an accessory on, so that's gonna be fine. Because of that, she does have a lot of defense on her, and that's kind of gonna stack on with Kane's TMR here. And let's just double check that she does have that enabled. Okay, so I believe she's gonna use her AP generation first and then the TMR skill, but we'll actually have to see. So this is kind of an interesting team. We have Joom and we have the Ice team, so let's see how we do against this. And I don't really know what's gonna happen here. Okay, so we actually have Joom on the right here, so maybe Lilyth will move to the right, maybe King Mount will move to the right. No. Alright, let's see where Lilyth moves. She moves to the right. So we have Laswell with AP generation. Do we have Joom with generation or no? She does have generation, so I think the AP Devastator is not going to be super good. Ooh, we have a disable on Gilgamesh. See if Joom does anything. Okay, so Joom doesn't really end up doing much damage on her part, so that's good. And Seymour actually does have that penetration working for him, so maybe we can get a 3-shot here. Oh, pretty good 3-shot. So in terms of taking down a tank, she does definitely contribute to that. Disable and an attack from Seymour, and she went for a auto attack. She did have a lot of AP, so maybe I just disabled too many things, but she should have had the AP Devastator, so I'm not really sure why she didn't go for that. Or maybe she just saw that Laswell had that shield of his and she just went up to break the shield. So that's genius AI at least, right? So there you go. Okay, let's kind of go. I kind of tried to set up a little bit of a different build here, and that's going to be with Adelard as the healer. So originally I wanted to do Minwoo, but I think Adelard's going to be a little bit better just because he actually moves up unlike Minwoo. So I just don't want to deal with Minwoo today. That's kind of why I stayed away from that. I did change the vision cards around a little bit. Instead of the King Mont card, I changed it to the Moraga card, and I moved the Death Machine to Adelard. So I don't really have crazy amounts of magic working for Adelard, but his role is just going to be to heal Lilyth if she gets damaged. So let's see if, as a bruiser with heals, let's see if she can do a little bit better, right? Really the only other build that I would want to try is to have her have sort of an all-out attack build, but I kind of feel like that's, I mean, how else do you give her? You got to give her like Aldoa's TMR to give her that defense penetration. So maybe we will try that after this. Maybe we'll do a couple here and then try that. So, all right, so I'm probably going to lose against this team, But as an all physical team, I kind of just want them to hit Lilyth, maybe hit King Mon, and maybe get healed by Adelard. Actually, one thing I wanted to enable was protect from Adelard, but let's run with this on its own, because I feel like as soon as I put protect on Adelard, he's just going to be protecting everyone, and it's just going to mess up his AI. So let's try this first, and then maybe switch to the protect and see how much that helps Lilyth out. Okay. Alright, so King Mont doing his thing. He's actually going for bells. He does have that built-in hate, so I don't need him to use Proclamation at first. But it would still be good if he uses it. There's claws, and that was a complete miss. Okay, so Lilyth is actually going here to the left, and Adelard with his 2 jump is just running right in. So luckily Joom is not a crazy strong attacker. Apparently she's very evasive. But there we go. Actually hit her with, I believe that was AP Devastator, so that was actually really good on Lilyth's part. Magic attack down, not the greatest, but we have Adelard actually landing attacks, so that's actually really good. There's the claws actually landing, and King Mont actually goes down pretty quickly. Lilyth is actually doing decently good damage over here. Does she survive this? No, she does not. Alright, so that kind of makes me want to do another, because Adelard didn't even get to heal, so that makes me want to do another try at this build before I change it to protect. Alright, let's just find another physical team. That's basically my criteria for now. Is just, is it a physical team? I kind of don't want to fight the same team again. I think that's a physical team. Alright, let's go for this, and let's see what happens. Of course, there's going to be some evade here, for sure. But let's just kind of see what happens. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be standard stuff here. And then I'm mostly just concerned on which way Lilyth is going to go, and then which way Adelard is going to go. Okay, so they're kind of grouping together a little bit. Okay, here's some damage, so this is perfect opportunity for Adelard to heal if he doesn't decide to just run in. Actually, she got stopped fully, so Adelard, I don't blame you for just going fully in. Okay, so that's good. The Sealing Thrust should lower her reaction ability. I didn't really see a message pop up for that, so I don't know if that actually took. Okay, so Sealing Thrust on Rafal. Probably the weakest link on their team, so this is kind of a bust. That stop was kind of a pretty big deal for that, so we didn't really get to do anything. That was kind of bad. So let's continue onward. Let's try to see if, let's enable that protect, and let's see if that helps Adelard either stay back or group up with everyone else. But again, I do totally 100% expect him to cast like 20 protects and not actually do anything else. So let's kind of, again, find another physical team. That seems like a physical team. You know what? Let's kind of go against this, just to see, because if that's going to be a sustain team, let's see if we can out sustain, or at least, you know, get some attacks in and see kind of what kind of damage we can do on our side. So again, I did mention that King Mont and Lilyth were both sort of breakers, but they do at least break different things. So King Mont does have the slash attack resistance debuff, and Lilyth has the AP stuff, the arm break. I guess they both have the disable, the speed breaks, the stat breaks more so. All right, let's see. So there's the inherited tyranny. So With the Inherited Tyranny, that's going to give her more of a potential to do damage. I don't really think, I guess she might go up against Yuna here? I don't know. But I feel like the damage potential against Yuna isn't really that amazing. Like, yeah, she's going to one-shot her, but I feel like she would have one-shot her regardless. But, I mean, that was pretty good. The one-shot damage was almost like a jamming thrust in a way. The AP break probably wouldn't have been enough just because Yuna has a ton of AP. And Lilyth goes down, so it's going to be all up to Adelard here. So actually he was smart enough to go for the, what's it called? The Spirit Break for the 2-shot, but that wasn't really enough for him to do. Alright, so actually I was thinking to now switch to a more offensive build, but I believe that's as offensive as we can get. Unless if I change Adelard to maybe the Lamia Queen, which is going to be the fire attack up. And there is also the option for so this gives 20 magic, and there's also the option for this card, which gives a little bit more magic. It's all elemental attack up, but the all elemental attack up is only 15 compared to 20, I believe, on the Lamia Queen. So this gives a little bit more of an edge in terms of damage. So how else can we increase Lilith's attack output? We can maybe give her the Fire Ring. So now she has, I think, more attack on that. Does that give her, that gives her fire attack resistance. So basically more attack on that, from that. So that's going to give about half of what it actually is. So 40 more attack on that, which is pretty good. Let me double check. I am using my +5 Flame Tongue, so this is maxed out. So this is pretty much her best possible weapon at this point. All right, so let's go into another battle. I'm kind of thinking this Dwayne, maybe? I'm really afraid of the Black Witch Helena. So that one looks pretty decent. Let's see what this one is. All right, let's go with the Gilgamesh one so we actually have a chance of winning. So let's see what this does. I haven't seen Adelard cast one heal. I'm not sure if he actually casted a protect, but let's see what happens. Let me pay attention to it this time. Okay, so maybe that's why Lilyth actually moves up first. And actually, didn't I give her Kane's TMR? Not sure why she... maybe I messed up. I thought I had given her Kane's TMR to give her that extra haste speed up. But apparently she has Ulthor's TMR. That was a massive brain fart. I must have just equipped the wrong thing. Alright, so Kingmon basically just absorbed some hits. Let's see if that was enough to allow Lilyth to do something. So I would have hoped she went for Gilgamesh in that case, but okay, I guess he didn't really cast an offensive move, so that was actually a good choice on her part. We do not survive the Oberon hit, so maybe like a re-raise might be helpful here. Okay, so I was kind of wondering if he would go for an offensive move or if he would go for the raise. Again, Adelard only has raise, so I guess he was just smart enough to not even go for it. She did get the kill on Noctis, so I'll give her that. But again, I am just having a lot of trouble getting her to really work for PvP. That's pretty much the theme of this entire video. So did we have one more attack? So I'm going to just switch her back to Kane's TMR, which I thought I had put on her, which would have made a little bit more sense in terms of making her a little bit more bulky. So now we do actually have Kane's TMR. Let's see if she can keep up speed-wise and actually group together with Mont a little bit better. Alright, so this is actually a physical team, which is good. So maybe I will go for this top one. I mean, this is basically the same team with a different tank. And I'm wondering what would happen if I make Lilyth just the rightmost unit. Maybe Adelard will team up with King Mont and actually sustain him, and then sort of allow Lilyth to come around and do something else. All right, so this is gonna be the last one. Let's see what happens here. All right. Do we get any protects off here? First of all, we got Lilyth on the right, staying to the right completely, committing to the right. I think their team is going to go to the left because of King Mont's hate. So that might mean Lilyth is going to fall behind. Hopefully she uses King's TMR before doing anything, and then she'll have that extra move. Okay, good. So now she is definitely swinging around from the right here. So here comes Adelard. What's he casting? Protect on himself. So maybe he's far enough back that he might actually heal. And there goes the reflex. Lilyth actually coming in. Adelard, I need you to heal, buddy. Okay. Oh, no, he doesn't. Okay, so Mont is going to go down here. Lilyth is going to get into position to get hit. Okay, so she actually lands the AP Devastator, which is actually pretty decent. 2B still has a decent amount of AP because she does have AP generation. And at this point, Adelard, I think his best bet was if Warrior of Light didn't have magic resistance. He goes for the cast instead of trying to finish off Tifa. So he doesn't really end up doing anything. So overall, a little bit disappointed. Can't really use Lilyth the way I want to, which is pretty much my biggest bummer. She pretty much only got upsides to her kit. I don't really think she got any downsides, but it's just a matter of being able to use her effectively. Again, I don't think she's bad. She's really good. It's just a matter of being able to use her effectively. So maybe it's a matter of using the range attacks. Maybe it's having a crap ton of range and just keeping Lilyth far back and just having her do chip damage, cleaning things up, or maybe setting up a bigger attack. I really don't know, guys. If you have any ideas, definitely, or if you've been using her yourself, definitely feel free to drop her in the comments, or drop the ideas in the comments. If you know of any Japanese YouTuber or anyone else that's sort of made good use of Lilyth, please drop a link in the comments. Other than that, I tried. I do still think that she has potential, but in terms of auto battle, not so much. Because you kind of, in terms of that AP breaking, you kind of need to decide who you're going to do that AP break to. And it kind of has to be someone who is not a magic user and someone who doesn't have AP generation. So that kind of gives you very few options. Or you might want to pivot it into using the other AP breaking attack, which I think completely drains AP, but it's a much shorter range, so it's a lot harder to use. Anyway, guys, I think that was long enough. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this is helpful in some kind of way. I felt the need to include the review just to kind of give you the warning that it's not going to be pretty. The reason I kind of started going into the review, I usually don't do reviews like that, but it was because I was kind of experimenting in dual mode and I just wasn't having luck. Again, it's probably in part because of the map, but I just couldn't get it to work. And it kind of sucks that every map is pretty much the same, so can't really do much with that. All right, guys, let me end it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.